really does.
No, right?
Or leave the request for argument and that will be
Right,
scheduled
that
for
would be
another day.
rescheduled for another day. Oh, yeah, niggas in here. Right, because there's only 3 members.
Good evening, everyone. It's by my clock, it's 6:01 p.m. on Thursday, April 28, 2022. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Medical Marijuana Commission, 6 o'clock at the Pontiac City Hall here in the city of Pontiac City Council Chambers. I call this meeting to order. How will you do the roll call?
No.
Roll call.
Ford,
Here.
Shepherd, Turpin,
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum. Can I get a motion to excuse Secretary Commissioner Yana Shepherd from this meeting?
Yeah, Paul Wilson. I move that we excuse Yana Shepherd from this meeting.
Can I get a second? Okay, been moved and second. Roll call?
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yeah.
Ford.
Yes. Okay. Just for a point of order, City Clerk, we need to do that selection now?
You need to make them amendments.
Okay.
Amendments to the agenda.
Okay. All right. Next item is amendments to the agenda, and I have three before me, but I wanted to reach out to my fellow commissioners, see if you had anything as far as any changes to the agenda.
No.
Okay. Hearing nothing. First thing is a motion to amend the agenda to include commission appointments after approval of the minutes. We have been informed that Commissioner Shepherd, Yana Shepherd, has resigned, and by rule, we're going to need to select a secretary tonight. So the first motion would be to amend the agenda to include commission appointments after approval of the minutes. And then the second amendment will be a motion to amend the agenda to add the selection of a secretary before communications. And then the third motion will be to amend the agenda to remove items number 7 and number 8 from the agenda, as we have received communications from the appellant attorney that needs to be investigated prior to the commission considering this appeal. So, again, a motion to amend the agenda to include the commission appointments after approval of the minutes. And then a motion to amend the agenda to add selection of a secretary before communications, and then a motion to amend the agenda to remove items number 7 and number 8 from the agenda. Okay. Can I get a motion to amend the agenda as stated?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Has been moved and second. Roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Okay. Next is with these amendments to the agenda, can I get we've already taken care of that. Next item is the approval of the minutes from April 14th, 2022.
President Chair Paul Wilson, I move that the minutes from April 14th meeting, or the last meeting that we had, be approved as printed.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
Okay. Next item we'll need to take care of will be the selection of a secretary, commission secretary. And
Once again, Mr. Chair Paul Wilson, I move that Mr. Bruce Turpin be the secretary.
I second that. It's been moved and approved that we appoint Bruce Turpin, Commissioner Turpin, as the Medical Marijuana Commission Secretary. Roll call.
Ford,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. The next item will be the communications. And first up is communication from Vicente Cedarland LLP, Withdrawing Nature's Medicine 2 Provisioning Center appeals in the downtown overlay district. Do we have any background on that from anyone?
Mr. Chair, we just received a communication from the appellant's attorney that they wanted to withdraw their appeals. So you can simply just receive it, because that's how we handled the matter when Lauren Investments withdrew their appeals from the Cesar Chavez overlay district.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Clerk. That information is received into our official minutes. Okay, next item is the discussion on Pure Life Solutions 2 LLC, doing business as Cedar Gardens appeal. And by rule, commissioners, this is our opportunity to discuss this matter. They have made an appeal to this commission, and we were given the opportunity to review the packets provided by the city clerk, and now is the time for us to deliberate on that and make a decision. But before that, a point of order: if there's anything, is there anything from the city attorney or the city clerk regarding this matter?
Nothing at this point in time, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, we've had a chance to review this information. Do any of the commissioners have anything they want to put on record?
Paul Wilson here, and reviewing the information that was on file downstairs. I did have an opportunity to review Pew Life Solution 2 LLC's information that was located in the file downstairs. Also had an opportunity to read the hearings, response and everything that was given to those. And when it comes to the items of looking at the additional points and things after reviewing it, I still concur with the decision that was made by the city clerk in the information that I reviewed.
Okay, thank you. Anything from you, Commissioner Turpin?
No.
Okay. For me, one of the things that I had to consider was what is our standard, what is our obligation to consider, and I want to go to the language that, as a commission, we are to review and decide all appeals forwarded to us by the city clerk pursuant to the ordinance 2357B, and we shall review them all appeals de novo. And the commission may overturn a decision or finding of the city clerk if it finds such decision or finding to be arbitrary or capricious and not supported by material, substantial, and competent facts on the whole record considered by the city clerk in arriving at such decision or finding. Now, further, I was able to come to an understanding on the accepted meaning of arbitrary to be that it is determined by whim or caprice or arrived at through an exercise of will or caprice without consideration or adjustment with reference to principles, circumstances, or significance, decisive but unreasoned. And the generally accepted meaning of capricious is apt to change suddenly, freakish, whimsical, or humorsome. And in the review of Pure Life's appeal, I noted that they had several items that they brought to light for consideration. One is the facility planning, facility sanitation, and neighborhood land use. And I understand that initially they had a ranking of number 4. After appeals hearings from others, this resulted in a revised ranking of 5, then number 6. And so, in reviewing all of the available information, that includes the process that was put in place by the city clerk to oversee this process, and the review process that he put in place, or that the city clerk put in place, and those that were on the review team, but going by the standard that I just read about what it is that we are to base our decision on, arbitrary or capricious and not supported by material, substantial, and competent facts on the whole record considered by the city clerk. I know that the city clerk hired or contracted with others to come in and assist him with or his office with the review of these applications, and that's what occurred in the instance of Pure Life Solutions. I think that the reviews were thorough. I think that the city clerk took great care in making sure that the process was very detailed, that instructions were provided, information was provided to all applicants so that they could, quote unquote, put their best foot forward. And so I know that there were some negative scorings for Pure Life Solutions in this matter, that that hindered them or prevented them from being in the top 5. But based upon what I saw and based upon what my obligation is, I don't see anything that in the decision to be arbitrary or capricious. And so I think I'm okay with the findings of the city clerk. And then I want to add to that, not only was there was a city clerk decision based upon credible information and a complete process, but I think that there were levels of review that that supported or that backed up or gave oversight of each level, from beginning to those who made the initial decisions, those who looked at how those decisions were made, to those who heard the appeals at the as a hearing officer, and before that, those who gave their legal and professional opinions based upon their expertise, whether it be security, whether it be legal or planning. And another thing is that the city clerk, although it was not in this instance, there were instances where recommendations were made for points to be added, and that was done, although that's not the case in this instance with Pure Life. But I wanted to say all that to say that that will be one of my standards going forward in reviewing all of the cases that come before me, as far as my considerations for my decision on any appeals. So, is there anything else from any commissioners? Okay, hearing none. What we have is and give me a second here. Okay. Okay. All right, hearing nothing from any of the other commissioners, what we have now is the next item is a resolution on Pure Life Solutions 2 LLC doing business as Cedar Gardens Appeal. I'm going to read the resolution, and after I read it, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second so that we can take action on this resolution. Resolution on Pure Life Solutions 2 LLC doing business as Caesar's Garden appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission. Whereas in 2018, voters approved the City of Pontiac Medical Marijuana Facilities Ordinance 2357B, and whereas Ordinance 2357B gives the city clerk the responsibility to score and rank applications for provisioning centers using a 130-point scoring system and awarding permits to the 20 highest scoring applicants. And whereas the City of Pontiac adopted Ordinance 2363, an ordinance to include medical marijuana facility uses in designated overlay districts, and whereas Ordinance 2363, Section 2.546, Medical Marijuana Provisioning Center, Section F, licensing states that no more than 5 provisioning centers shall be established in each of the medical marijuana overlay districts, including Cesar Chavez, Walton Boulevard, and C-2 downtown overlay districts. And whereas Ordinance 2363, no more than 5 provisioning centers shall be established in the C-1, C-3, and C-4 zone properties combined outside of the medical marijuana overlay districts. And whereas the city clerk accepted provisioning center applications by overlay districts and the non-overlay for a 21-day period, January 6th through 27th, 2020. And whereas the city clerk ranked and scored provisioning centers by district using a 130-point scoring system, and whereas the city clerk informed Cedars Garden that their application for a provisioning center in the Cesar Chavez Overlay District had received a score of 111 and ranking of 5 of 17 on May 21st, 2021. And whereas Cedar Garden appealed the score and ranking to the city clerk since its application had received an adverse decision. The ranking was changed from 4 to 5 as a result of another Cesar Chavez applicant's appeal to the hearing officer. The city clerk appointed General Law PLLC to serve as the hearing officer. The hearing officer conducted your hearing on June 29th, 2021. The hearing officer issued a recommendation to the city clerk. The city clerk adopted the hearing officer recommendation. Based on the hearing officer recommendation and other appeals in the Cesar Chavez Overlay District, your ranking was changed to 6. The city clerk issued a decision to deny Cesar's Garden application. And whereas Ordinance 2357B allows an applicant to further appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission, and whereas the Medical Marijuana Commission can only consider application sections that were appealed to the hearing officer, and whereas Cesar's Garden submitted their appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission on August 6, 2021, and whereas the city attorney issued a recommendation to the Medical Marijuana Commission to deny Cesar's Garden's appeal, and whereas the Medical Marijuana Commission reviewed Cesar's Garden appeal and the city attorney recommendation. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Medical Marijuana Commission finds no basis to overturn the clerk's decision to deny Pure Life Solutions 2 LLC, doing business as Cesar's Gardens, application for a provisioning center in the Cesar Chavez Overlay District. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution as read?
I would move to approve the resolution as read.
Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call. So hang on a second before you do the roll calls. Just so we know, we're clear, by saying yes, we are denying,
Right.
we are voting to deny Cesar's Gardens or Pure Life LLC's appeal.
Appeal.
Okay, roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item number 4, item number 5, discussion on the Dixie Depot appeal, the Dixie Depot appeal. All right, is there anything on this from any of the commissioners?
Paul Wilson. There and again, and this time I'll elaborate a little more on it than what I did on the first one. I did take the opportunity after looking at Dixie Depot appeal that was dated June 21st, 2021, with the ruling changed on that for the hearing for them. And in looking at that and reviewing all of the evidence that was presented to me, not only did I look at the application process, I did go back through, and I didn't go into this much detail on the other one, and I don't think I'm going to go into all of the detail I went into. I did look at the all of the rulings that was supporting the evidence that was on the application process that was out there. I did take an in-depth dive, a deep dive into ordinance number 2357B. I also took a deep dive into the city scoring criteria that they had used. I did go back and look at all of the additional evidence that was on the application process. And I also went into all of the details that was on the City of Pontiac permit application instructions that was permitted. And in looking through all of those applications and in reading through all of the appeals that was made, I agree with the ruling that the city clerk did, that was made on this process also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Turpin, you have anything?
Well, I'm just kind of getting my legs up under me. I went over and looked at a few things, and it was a daunting task. Great big old folders full of paper. End of the day after working. And this Dixie Depot, just like the others, that there was always items that were not covered by the application that I found in my search. Now, I didn't do as deep a dive as my brother over here, but there were issues of for this one in particular, they didn't address facility sanitation. These kinds of small details were used to make decisions, and things like they're looking for 12 criteria for community impact, and only 7 were presented. So it's when you get down to these decision trees, it's the small little details that came into play in terms of how the decisions were made. So that's about all I have to comment.
Thank you, sir. For me, again, I, like my other 2 commissioners, spent considerable time reviewing these, the appeals, the application, the folders, and Commissioner Turpin, you said it's a daunting task. That's an understatement. That's why, this is a decision that I don't take lightly. I know that the desire to have a provisioning center in the city of Pontiac is a great one. It's one that's been ongoing since 2018, as we well know. But having said that, I go back to the standard of which I am basing my decision on, of which the voters said they wanted it to be based on, and that is whether or not the decision by the city clerk was arbitrary or capricious, or whether it's not supported by material, substantial, and competent facts on the whole record considered. And my review of the Dixie Depot application, their appeal, I know that they had 7 items that they had issue with in the area of security, facility planning, sanitation, resident safety, neighborhood land use, community impact, and physical improvements. They were scored very low in those areas by the reviewer, but those reviews were I thought that the reviews were based upon the information that was presented before them, and I feel like the decisions were informed. I don't think they were arbitrary or capricious, and I think that those layers that were put in place by the city clerk following those initial reviews found that that was not the case as well. So I think I'm ready to make a decision on this matter as well. So is there anything else from any of the commissioners? If not, then our next item will be item number 6, is a resolution on the Dixie Depot appeal. And again, Commissioners, I will read the resolution, and then I will ask for a motion and a second for us to consider taking action on this resolution. Resolution on the Dixie Depot appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission. Whereas in 2018, voters approved the City of Pontiac Medical Marijuana Facilities Ordinance, Ordinance 2357B, and whereas Ordinance 2357B gives the city clerk the responsibility to score and rank applications for provisioning centers using a 130-point scoring system and awarding permits to the 20 highest scoring applicants, and whereas the City of Pontiac adopted Ordinance 2363, an ordinance to include medical marijuana facility uses in the designated overlay districts, and whereas Ordinance 2363, Section 2.546, Medical Marijuana Provisioning Center, Section F, licensing states that no more than 5 provisioning centers shall be established in each of the medical marijuana overlay districts, including Cesar Chavez, Walton Boulevard, and C-2 downtown overlay districts. And whereas Ordinance 2363, no more than 5 provisioning centers shall be established in the C-1, C-3, and C-4 zone properties combined outside of the medical marijuana overlay districts. And whereas the city clerk accepted provisioning center applications by overlay districts and the non-overlay for a 21-day period, January 6th through January 27th, 2020. And whereas the city clerk ranked and scored provisioning centers by district using a 130-point scoring system, and whereas the city clerk informed the Dixie Depot that their application for a provisioning center in the Cesar Chavez overlay district had received a score of 80 and ranking of 15 of 17 on March 2nd, 2021, whereas the Dixie Depot appealed the score and ranking to the city clerk since his application was denied because it was not ranked in the top 5 for the Cesar Chavez overlay district. The city clerk appointed Grewal Law PLLC to serve as the hearing officer. The hearing officer conducted a hearing on April 26, 2021. The hearing officer issued a recommendation to the city clerk. The city clerk adopted the hearing officer recommendation. Based on the hearing officer recommendation, your ranking remained 15, and the city clerk affirmed his decision to deny the Dixie Depot application. And whereas Ordinance 2357B allows an applicant to further appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission, and whereas the Dixie Depot submitted their appeal to the Medical Marijuana Commission on June 21st, 2021, and whereas the city attorney issued a recommendation to the Medical Marijuana Commission to deny the Dixie Depot appeal, and whereas the Medical Marijuana Commission reviewed the Dixie Depot appeal and the city attorney's recommendation, now therefore be it resolved, the Medical Marijuana Commission finds no basis to overturn the clerk's decision to deny the Dixie Depot application for a provisioning center in the Cesar Chavez overlay district. Can I get a motion?
Paul Wilson, I move that the resolution written be accepted.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Can I get a roll call?
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Okay. That was the last item on our agenda. We're at public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak, you can come to the podium. You'll have a total of 3 minutes to make your comment. We want you to identify yourself, and we can go from there.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bahura. I'm an attorney for the applicant PGSH that was removed. Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to remove it and at least consider what I wrote. The information I provided clearly shows 2 different hearing officers scoring things 2 different ways. And so when you're reviewing the information I provided, my hope is that you'll you'll understand that just on this one issue that I'm bringing up, the process was arbitrary and capricious by definition. You have one scoring officer looking at one document and saying, no, I'm not going to give you a point, and you have another hearing officer looking at the identical document, identical, and giving points for that document. And so, I think it's imperative that you really dig into it and take a look. And nobody's disputing that the city clerk did his best on this. I know it was a big undertaking, but there were some mistakes made, and I hope that you guys will be able to see that with some of the information I provided. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners. Intern Garland, or Doyle, you guys did a great job in this, but I also think that there were some things that were missed with Cedars Garden. One is I am one of the only, I get considered in this application, a black applicant, as well as one other that I know of in the city of Detroit, in the city of Pontiac. And I think that some of the things were missed. I think that you need to dig a little deeper. These applications were hundreds and hundreds of pages, and there's things that were in the applications that could have been overlooked and missed, and they were graded differently. This first time around, we were only into the first 17 applications, and each time they went to a different overlay, things changed. So if you could consider looking at this again, looking through it thoroughly to see exactly where the points could have been picked up and what the difference was from other applications versus these applications. And my name is Nicole Milton. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. Hearing none? I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Aaron Geyer, and I am an attorney for one of the currently 5 ranked applicants that are in the top 5. And once again, we are taking this matter and we are adjourning it, which adds for additional delay. This has been going on way too long. What Mr. Bahura has not said is, while there may have been a difference of opinion as to one particular issue, the question that this commission needs to consider is what would be the impact, even if he were given credit for it. Would it be enough to change the score? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, when will this commission hear this appeal again? Again, as I've indicated, my client has been paying on a purchase agreement while this case is going on, and they can't build. They're still waiting for their license. With the denial of, the clock is not running, but I'm Mr. Doyle, I'm almost done.
Just so you know, I'm keeping it right here, so you
Fair
have
enough.
about a minute and a half left, so.
That's fair, and I'm not going to even go there.
Okay.
But the bottom line, as I said, is even if Mr. Bahura were successful, my client is still sitting in the 3rd spot, and regardless of, even if he did prevail, my client still would receive a license. But yet, because of the delays, my client is still forced to wait. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I apologize for the clock. I'll have to get better at that. Is there anyone else? Hearing or seeing no one else. Next thing is the adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Paul Wilson, motion to adjourn this meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, then, motion to adjourn has been made and moved and second. Roll call.
Wilson. Ford.
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
Okay. By my clock, it is 6:39 p.m., and this meeting is adjourned.